We have Pedro on Azir, so I'm assuming that's Squirtle. Is that? Was that someone else?
We'll find out as we go through.
And we have Xtacio on Rek'sai. Awesome. That is, I'll be honest, I think this is the first time we see this matchup ever on screen at regional
that
stage.
we've casted. Let's put that caveat, and that way we're right regardless, because we haven't
maybe
casted
someone will
it.
fact check me and say,
Maybe.
maybe not.
Who needs the truth? Let's build our own truth.
No one will check that.
Yeah, exactly. So we had some Azir on screen earlier today. So obviously that works across what we call it is cascading equipment in line with utilizing a lot of tokens. You send one token in with an equipment on, and then it ends up trading, and then you put another one on. Really efficient use of the additional buffs from things like Brutalizer, that when you equip it, you get the extra bonus.
Yeah, and then we have a Rek'sai, which seems to be the red hybrid version, so very similar to the one that we have seen already on the show match. But the thing is, there are 3 Blood Rushers over here in main, and also Void Hatchlings, which is not something that you always see. Many people prefer Pautiporo in the current environment because they do die less to Kai'Sa, for example.
And interestingly, a difference to what we saw with Marshall in round 2 of the day, this is Darius instead of Ferris Forerunner. Where the version we watched earlier today was only really recycling for Forerunner. This deck, at least in the main board, just saying we don't need Forerunner now. I wouldn't be surprised to see one maybe in the side.
I would guess maybe like 2
unit.
or even 3 there, because you essentially would side it in against everyone who's not purple.
Yeah, I imagine so. As you said, Rebuke in that dynamic is so important. So we'll see that as we go from game 1 to game 2. But for the main board, we are expecting... That's, like, aggressive. Like, when you put a Darius in there as well, that maybe shortcuts past the needing Rek'Sai for Accelerate in that moment, because you just played Darius and then follow it up with something else.
Yeah, and you also... The access to 3 Blood Rushes allows you to be... When you're going second, you have access to a fill card, essentially.
Okay.
Because when you're at odd number of runes in Rek'Sai, you don't really have a typical way of using that one.
Right.
Because almost everything costs 2.
Okay.
You will have most spells costing 2, you will have most units costing 2, but then suddenly you have that one odd rune that is just floating there to be
So
used.
you can threaten with something.
And that Blood Rush is perfect for that, because not only it allows you to be repeated when you need it to be, so then it goes into even number, and you have more impact to it, right? But the +2 will change a lot of the potential concurs, which then will trigger Void Burrower. So that's why in the Rek'Sai deck you probably also play not Pautiporos, the Daring Poros, which have built-in Assault, because it's so important to go over your opponent as early as possible to trigger the Void Burrower to potentially start your card draw engine, right, in Rek'Sai. That's why Assault is one of those key mechanics that you're going to see in the Rek'Sai builds. And as I explained in the first hours of this broadcast 9 hours ago...
A long time ago now.
Yeah, there are 3 different archetypes typically over Rek'Sai, but in this particular one, Blood Rushes are very important because you're going to go wide. So Blood Rushes are going to be having the most impact potentially, because you can change the outcomes on both battlefields by using just 1 card, right? Because you can split the directions, like 2 tokens, one gets 3 might, attacks into the battlefield A, the other token gets +2 with the assault and attacks the battlefield B. And now you're able to impact both of the battlefields at the same time. So
wow.
This is a very neat addition to the Rek'Sai, and I feel like Rek'Sai and Darius are utilizing those strategies the best because of the yellow inclusion in the archetype, which creates the tokens.
That is an in-depth look into Blood Rush there. If you followed Lothar down that Rek'Sai tunnel, congratulations. You're probably good enough to be...
I like the tunnel.
Hey, I come with some jokes. Sometimes it works. I'll tell you that much. Right, no, this is not something to joke about, though. Both of these players are locked for day 2, of course, but really important to know, your score carries over in the sense of, like, where you're looking for highest placement for the top 8. You're accruing the maximum mana points, so looking to be 8-0 at the end of the day.
I know it's super far away from the top 8, but it also matters in the top 8.
Of course.
Because the highest seed in the top 8 will choose, am I going first or second in the match? In most cases, that's going to be, like, I'm going first. If someone was first and after Swiss, he's most likely going first
the entire
every time.
tournament. Exactly. All the way through to the finals, should you make it. So it is really important. So here we go. Azir comes out with the first Sand Soldier from Desert's Call already. Now we get to see how much of this go wide strategy comes from the Rek'sai. Both of these decks very similar in that way that these board states might get out of control.
Yeah, pretty fast as well. And also playing the Rek'sai is a heads-up play because it allows you to go into a battlefield with 4 might, which might be something that Azir will not try to like battle, right? So, for example, we know that most Azirs are gonna play Disciplines and they're gonna play Angard, for example, right? But the Angard is like a secondary choice. In this case here, we're gonna leave one of the Sand Soldiers to die, which will trigger then the Conqueror from Voidbearer, right? But the problem is with this that you will lose your potential accelerated unit that you typically also want to have to like finish the game, right?
Okay.
But if you play a 2-drop instead of the Rek'sai, then you cannot kill the Sand Soldier, so you have to go to the other battlefield and you give your opponent a point.
Right,
So this is the decision that Xtacio here was making, because he had a 2-drop, if I'm not mistaken, on turn 1. Now he's playing the Void Hatchling first.
Yeah.
First and foremost because of the fact that Void Hatchling actually has an effect which will give him another option to look at the card, but also you typically would like to play a 2-drop before you activate the Voidbearer to potentially have a Noxus helpful from the top, but now this is crazy.
Did Xtacio recycle from the Void Hatchling? Because he looked at it. I didn't see whether it went top or bottom, but
I'm not certain, but I think he did. And
if it went bottom, that means the Under Titan gets revealed from that 1 extra. I wasn't paying attention because I wasn't quite thinking down that rabbit hole on that, but yeah, oh wow, that 2 extra energy is going to light this game on fire with the ability to just play out a bunch of units in the board and then be in a great spot. We said like units will come really quickly in this matchup.
That is a crazy opener. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, then the Rek'sai feels like unbeatable almost, you know?
Yeah, because that is one thing Azir does struggle a little bit with, is actually dealing with multiple units at once.
Call the Weak is essentially like, oh, I'm not going to play this card in this matchup almost at all. Like,
I'll trade a
kill
token.
the 1/1?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's gonna get stuck in the hand for some time. Maybe there will be a moment in the game where you can play it, but it's gonna be hard to find that moment. But what's even more important is that I don't know if it's gonna matter actually in this matchup, but it can potentially come up. The Hall of Legends, that is the battlefield chosen by a Azir player, can actually benefit the Rek'sai as well, because you can first conquer Hall of Legends, tap for your Voidbearer, put it on the chain, and then do the Hall of Legends, untap your Voidbearer.
You get it a second time.
Yeah, and you get it a second time. The problem with this is that potentially costs you even more energy.
Right.
Because with each cast of Voidbearer, you are looking to play a card from the top of the deck anyway, right? So,
yeah.
But it is something that can come up.
Worth considering for sure. Like there is that aspect that may very well come to fruition. Now we're in that situation, as you said, you're trading your Rek'sai away, but it was to get that early tempo, deny the Azir the point early on.
So now we have Azir with a... Again, can we put the Brutalizer on the bottom and the shield, please? So we can see the might number.
Yeah, that was something we were talking about. Now you can just... It covered up completely. Yeah, okay. You don't get to see anything.
He just put a blanket.
Gotta keep those Sand Soldiers warm in the night in the desert. Exactly. I will say, just a little bit of housekeeping, not for here, but if you're playing at a Nexus Night or Skirmish.
Here we go. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. I think the judges stepped in and said, no, we actually probably should see that game information to be played out here. It is a courtesy to your opponent to at least represent the public information in the game in a way that is accurate.
So this unit has 4 might in this case. Brutalizer only gives +2 when it's being equipped during this turn, right? So
yes, yeah.
Was that 3 energy open for the Azir or 2? I'm actually not certain. But the hand of... This is one of the biggest skill when it comes to playing Rek'sai. You have to make a decision. What kind of cards do I have on the top of the deck, and are those cards actually potentially impactful in this position of the board, of the board state, right? So is it worth, if I attack first with the token to the Trifarian to activate Voidbearer, get an additional option?
Yeah, what am I likely to see? What are those 2 cards going to be? Because when they're revealed, I've got to use it or lose it at that point. So
you need to know your deck in and out completely to understand what are the odds and what are you looking for and how does it impact with the context of the board state.
Yeah, and that's the sequencing down to your own rune availability as well, right? Because if you're tapped out, or if you're low on economy and you've not tracked that all of your cheap stuff has come out already and you're more likely to hit expensive units, expensive spells, that kind of thing, that's where you can really mess it up in the end of a turn and say, oh, now that has to go to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, let's say the Blood Rush will come up, right?
Sure, yeah.
So you can attack with the token to the Trifarian, you show the top 2 from the top of the deck, and there's a Blood Rush, and suddenly now you have an option to change your mind about attacking the other battlefield.
It's going to be hopeful into the battlefield to absorb...
It's gods.
Yeah, that is the beginning, and is going to be able to activate, I believe that was a Brutalizer that swapped over.
Yeah, and this Brutalizer now gives +2
yes.
for this entire turn, so this particular Sand Soldier is now 5 might.
Yeah, that of course comes from the Weapon Master part of Azir, plus there is Blood Rush, we talked about it quite a lot.
With the repeat, so it goes up to 8, and that is 7, if I'm not, is it 7? 3, no, it's 8 to 8, so it's exactly the same, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that is correct. As we will follow the math. Everyone's like, yeah, let's just get rid of everything. It's trade it all away. At least now you can conquer on the back end of that with the likes of a Recruit or whichever you should do. As you said, with the Trifarian Warcamp, it will now give you the activation if you wanted it. Void Hatchling is going...
The Void Burrow was tapped, but that was just a clerical mistake.
Oh, from the beginning of the turn?
Yes.
Okay, wasn't in the Awaken phase.
So see, if this was the case, like, maybe it was worth attacking first to the Trifarian to see maybe there's something that actually changes my mind. But the deck, that's something that I learned very quickly. When it comes to anticipating what a player can do in this game, in Riftbound, it's not easy. Players can have different mindset, they can have different playstyle, they can also have completely something in their mind that they want to execute, that you're not going to be able to read just from the board state, because maybe something in the deck is actually affecting the decision making, maybe something in the hand that we don't see is affecting the decision making. What we can do here is just try to understand what the player is trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's always one thing about casting games of Riftbound and watching them and being a third-party observer, is you have such different information on the game to the players. And we may follow a line and the player isn't even considering it because they have one thing in mind that they are trying to avoid. And sometimes that obviously pays dividends in time. So just remember, players being in the featured match, being 7-0 at the same time, not that there has been any mistake so far, but it is all pressure that builds and builds and builds at this moment of playing for the undefeated streak of 8-0 so far.
Yeah, I mean, being 7-0 in such a big tournament is already a feat, I would say.
Yeah, massive, massive. The beginnings of building a real full career out of this. We're only on the second event, but these are names that we'll be
keep our horses over here. It's still far away.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, performance like that is the beginning of etching your name into
I can agree with
competitive
that. Specifically,
history.
if you can also turn into a day 2 performance as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But this start is very, very good for you. Like 7-0 is incredible.
I like building stories. I like a little bit of hyperbole, a little bit of exaggeration for people.
You know what's funny is that this Trifarian Warcamp is actually beneficial for both of those archetypes.
Yeah, it really is. You're going wide on both of these decks, so Trifarian Warcamp is pretty handy there. It also means that it does nothing for both of them, if the units are even neutral.
One of the sides will still have more units. In this case, we have the Rek'sai with +4, while the Azir is with +1. He equipped this Brutalizer, if I'm not mistaken, so that's going to be
exactly.
6 might altogether.
Yep.
There's a hidden blade, if I'm not mistaken, on the Trifarian, but it's not being activated for now. Remember also one more thing. Rek'sai kind of wants to conquer every single turn. They don't aim at holding the battlefields unless they are certain they can just conquer the other one in the upcoming turn, because you want to activate that Void Bearer as often as possible. And what if it's even important? You want to activate the Void Bearer even when you don't have like energy open, because it gives you information.
Okay,
Well,
so
I mean,
you're
it also
actually
gives information to the opponent, but you will know your deck better, so you will be able to
make better decisions.
make better decisions
Okay.
based on the information.
That's an interesting concept, because as we were talking about earlier, it depends kind of what's left in your deck. But yeah, I can definitely understand that. I can understand that point of view. BF Sword coming through this time, Weapon Master attached, and that'll be another conquer for Azir. Really low on economy,
Runes, yeah.
and they're all order runes as well, so that means Brutalizer won't be able to be re-equipped on a further turn.
But if I'm not mistaken, he's guaranteed 1 green in the upcoming turn. I think I might be a little bit off, but I think he should be getting at least 1 green.
You know who should know? Our Azir player, Pedro or Squirtle
yeah.
should. You know, that would be in your mind. If you've been, you know, doing reps on this deck until this point, should have that fully in mind as you are recycling. And that's one thing that going from a novice player to a pro or, you know, expert player is one of the things you got to keep in mind.
We have 2 battering rams in this hand. So basically, every single time you play a 2-drop, you get -2 energy in the cost of those 2 cards. But you need to squeeze enough cards to actually make a difference for them both to be played.
Yeah, to play them both.
Essentially, that's what you're trying to achieve at the same turn. So, another activation of Void Bearer. We're looking here for some cheap cards.
Ooh, of all the cards to get.
Actually, it's probably still Void
I still
Rush.
think, yeah, exactly.
But I would say it still could be a consideration.
So this is now the second spell of the turn.
Correct. And now he's going to be...
oh, the
wait.
chain!
Does it matter?
Yeah, I was going to say, does it matter?
Because you have -2 already on the cost. So this is going to be -3 on the ram cost after playing this Void Rush.
Yeah,
and
that's
if we get
what I'm...
another 2-drop...
Oh, you get Undertone.
Jackpot!
The chain, back to back to back. Oh, the reveals are satisfying.
All right, so he gets 2+ energy. Remember, this is Void Rush. One of those cards is going to be drawn. The other one can be played. So here we'll have overall 5 energy. The Darius will not go ready because 3 cards were already being played.
It won't be the second card of the turn.
Correct.
But that is that's some value.
In the cost is correct. He needed to pay 1 energy for him, and still should have 1 more. If I'm not
Is that how the math works out? Double battering ram? Oh, that is disgusting.
That under Titan hit there was a big change. Essentially, it allows you to play those 2 battering rams on top of the Darius. Otherwise, the Darius will be in hand. But this is a vile play.
That's disgusting. Well, that'll tilt the favor back in one way if we had a who's in the lead bar on the pace of the game. It obviously doesn't affect it in that exact turn, but the Awaken phase, suddenly Rek'sai looks really scary.
Yeah, now you have potentially 15, 17, 19 might.
That's a lot. Some Sand
If we count, of
Soldiers.
course, the Darius untap, right? So
Yeah.
he's down to 4 runes, but that's okay. Goes up to 6.
That was going to be my question, is the economy damaged from that? Do you care when you have this much might on the board?
What was the most expensive card in the deck?
Yeah, Darius, and it's there now.
And
yeah.
that's the second Darius, because one is already at the bottom of the deck, if I remember correctly.
I believe you're correct, yeah,
So
earlier.
you're going to have every single card now cost you like essentially 2 or 1, maybe 3 if it's a captain, but I believe 2 captains were already being played, so that essentially leaves it to 1 copy, so most of your cards is going to cost you 2.
Oh, that still feels like that is wrong.
But what I wanted to say though, Azir is at 6 points.
Yes, yeah.
So there is potential, like, you know, you cannot leave now the battlefields as Rek'sai. That's not the ideal scenario because you want to leave the battlefields to
and then
reconquer them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But the problem is now when your opponent is at 6 and still has access to the Azir Sovereign in his champion unit, here we go.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to move your units more efficiently to close out the game. So he's setting it up.
Are we setting up in a Rise turn, potentially, for the next turn?
Most
and then you
likely.
sweep in with Azir and do the old Shurima shuffle to win. As you said, a lot of this Rek'sai deck does want to be attacking. A lot of the spells as well, when you look at like Blood Rush and that, they're all, you know, helped out when you're the aggressor, that type of thing. Like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't help hold outside of just the might printed on the card.
Yeah, and the problem is that as you said, Rek'sai is not the best at holding. But if you have like cards of Blood Rush, they don't really, literally, they don't help.
Exactly that. They don't help. Maybe you're casting it just to get the +2 when you cast a second spell on Darius. And we're really delving into the depths of like, how do you squeak out another Might?
It might have looked like a crazy turn.
It did.
Rek'sai.
It looked great.
Yeah, but it is not great if there's an Arise being held in the hand for Pedro. Yeah,
Rek'sai's burrowing. You can see the table shaking underneath. something's going
and something
on.
is in the sand.
Yeah. Ooh, thematic. Oh, the shifting sands.
Did you watch Tremors?
Maybe a long time ago.
This is like the perfect combination.
Oh yeah.
It's sands and worms and.
It's like Dune at this point. Potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Shout out to Kevin Bacon. But if you didn't watch Tremors, you should.
Although now that we're talking about Dune, I'm like, Kevin Bacon was not in Dune. That would be a very
How
different
do you know?
movie.
Maybe he was.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe he's an extra. This is far too serious a game to be going down that hole on, as both players are 7-0. This is game 1 of this best of 3, trying to secure an undefeated streak through day 1. Battering Ram will go towards the Trefarian War Camp.
That was quite actually interesting.
The
combat, yeah, because there was one open. If there was an Enguard, they could have actually go the other way around, because it would have been +2. Well, actually, no, never mind. It was a free Might unit, so it would just be that trade.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Rek'sai potentially representing things like Blood Rush and a few other things. So there's some extra questions to that. I would say probably not the best 2 units you're seeing off the top at this point. They kind of help, but maybe not.
I'm not certain what's in his hand, because at this point it's like you have to pay. Probably you will have to play the captain.
So one card we know is an Under-Titan in hand.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because it got revealed from the
But that's
the
not
Void
really
Rush
helpful.
earlier. I think the Color Week earlier went to the bottom, because I think that was revealed via the Rek'sai.
But the first. If that was in the Void Rush,
something else was in the first Void Rush, and I can't remember what it was. I was far too hyped about the first Void Rush to remember what the other card was.
I think there's a Colder Week in the hand, but I'm not certain.
I can't remember whether that was from the Legend ability or from the Void Rush.
Are we paying for Hall of Legends? Probably not. Are we? He's thinking about it, I think. There's one Blood Rush in the hand, which is basically useless for this particular turn.
Yeah, as in for the following turn. Yeah, everything that you would use that on is gone. Now Pedro is going to look through the graveyard, which is important. The other thing is it's somewhat important as the opponent.
He's counting the Blood Rushes. He's counting the interactions over here.
It's also important to remember what was revealed and recycled earlier in the game. It's hard to do. Like, it's so hard to remember.
It's one of the matchups when you're if you're not accustomed to the matchup, you're not used to the fact that you have to pay attention to what your opponent is doing that much with his deck
to put to the bottom of the
information.
Deck. Yeah, exactly. Because it's as good as knowing it's in the trash for a while. You only have to remember it later in the game. But knowing that it's not an option is really important. And here we said Rek'sai can take battlefields really effectively. Not so good at holding, and with only 1 rune available, we know there's only really 1 piece of interaction. That's gonna ready Darius, go back to safety, just in case it is necessary next turn. Is this a massive Arise turn? And even if it is it enough to get through this Trefarian War Camp, where all of the troops are stationed for our Rek'sai?
Well, we have 1, 2, 3 equipments. So Arise will spawn 4 creatures. That is how many units we have on Trefarian right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Yeah, Darius is not there.
23 Might on the Trefarian War Camp for Rek'sai.
So it then comes down to the math on the equipment plus the Azir.
There's also the second way of playing out the round for Azir, where you will juggle the same piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, not go in at once. So you're actually going to cascade, as many people call it, and you can go, okay, I'll go 1 brutalizer in, 1 brutalizer in. It looks like we may be having a judge at least question or call at this point in time, as both players,
We
of
should
course,
have like a listen-in right now.
I
It's
know,
like,
I wish I
What's
could,
the question, huh?
yeah, it would be good to know. As it looks like, so to explain to newer players what is happening here at the table, this is something that I think veteran players will understand, but newer players may not. When you are playing in a competitive environment with a judge, you are allowed to ask a judge a rules question specifically about the rules, not about the game state, but about the rules away from the table, so that you don't give your opponent information. So for instance, if I was going to ask you a very basic question, it could be away from the table, of can I equip Brutalizer to a unit multiple times in a turn and each unit will get +2? That's a generally fair question. That's a very easy one that a judge would be like, yeah, you'll get +2 every time you equip Brutalizer.
Well, that question was definitely incomplete.
Yeah, it was, but I was giving you an example because I was thinking one off the top of my head. Obviously, at this level, a lot of them are very complex. But
I do wonder, what is he asking about?
Same.
What is very interesting about Azir's is that because of how the entire archetype works, most of the decks have the same fundamentals like cards that are always implemented because you are required to have the equipment. So almost all of the Azir decks are essentially almost the same at this stage of our game. We're gonna have more cards with more expansions being added.
Yeah.
But I'm just like thinking like nothing comes to my mind that was actually the Guardian Angel, maybe some interaction over here.
Is it potentially about
Because
Guardian Angeling a recruit?
Being recalled and then it can be like brought back to the battlefield with the Azir.
It should survive, right? Like that's fine because
it's gonna have still the equipment attached to it.
Yes, yeah, that is. I'm pretty sure what happens with Guardian Angel. We've seen it on other things. Normally not with tokens, but I'm pretty sure that the token doesn't leave the battlefield.
No, it doesn't.
So it just comes back to the base. So
So now we have potentially, if I'm not mistaken, this unit has 4, 5, 8, 9 might.
It's hidden underneath.
Yeah, but it should be 9. If this Brutalizer was equipped this turn, it's 9. Okay, so it goes to Halls of Legends, and now it's going to be brought into the...
With the Azir when it moves. Oh, okay.
And now we can re-equip the yellow equipment. Oh, no. Wait. It goes back to base. It doesn't re-equip anything because it's still alive,
yeah,
right?
It's still alive.
But it adds the full might. So it added the 9.
Right. And you're trading the Guardian Angel for the full might of the stack of equipment on the Sand Soldier. Now we're going to bring it in. This is a lot of might coming into the battlefield, and we're going to do the math as we go. This is important to count it, although Xtacio is just going to say, yeah, that's a lot of might. It's 25 to 23. That is going to be game 1 going over to Azir.
This is where you can see how impactful Death Grip can be in decks that can use equipment and essentially double the amount of might that you're getting out of one equipment.
Yeah.
Right? For example, Fiora and Azir are great examples of that. To some degree, Set as well. Like Set Brawler can, like, for example, buff his own, buff his own might with just burning the buff, and then Death Grip gets +8 on something else, right? Yeah. And so in this particular case, this was really nicely played, a nice usage of a Guardian Angel, and then reusing the same amount of might and the same amount of utility on the equipment attached to go to the other battlefield and finish up the game. Really nice sequencing.
Really good sequencing, doubling up, and that's what we're talking about players having a specific line in mind, and of course wanting to clarify exactly that. I imagine it was that Death Grip interaction, just to confirm.
With the Guardian Angel.
Exactly, and again, maybe my example was bad, but as long as you're only asking a judge a rule question and not a game state question, typically you will be given the correct answer about a rule specifically. We talked earlier about would Xtacio have Ferris Forerunner in the sideboard,
and he does.
The answer is yes. That is not a surprise. I feel pretty good. Hey to everybody in the crowd. Thanks for joining us. To those of you that unfortunately did not make it through day 1, commiserations. Hope you are enjoying the event as it is. Those of you that are still in, hopefully give a cheer. I guess you're actually playing if you're still in. That's actually kind of silly.
Look, people waving. Let's wave back.
Wave back to the people.
We're on camera.
We're here.
Fantastic.
That's lovely to see you all. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't been able to make it to either Bologna or Lille, first of all, we wish you were here. We wish you were joining us. Utrecht is coming up soon, and then more events throughout the rest of the year. We showed you at the beginning of the stream, so after we're done, if you want to find out where else you can find Riftbound close to you, either use, search for it Riftbound events,
locator.
or go
Yep.
back to the beginning of the stream. We talked about it to begin the day on what's coming up.
And if you want to know, the viewing area here in the arena is very nice. It's a big like, LCD screen that is actually, I don't know how big, but it's
big.
way bigger than what we have here behind us.
Yeah.
It's a really nice setup. There's a lot of people enjoying viewing it in the arena.
And you get to dip in of doing side events, and if you want to do as many of the different events throughout the weekend as possible. I'll be in Utrecht. Luckily, I've been selected as one of the creators going, so I'll be there playing side events, not playing the main event. I don't want that smoke. That's not for me.
I will be either competing or maybe casting.
Fingers crossed on either way for you for making day 2. You, as I said, this tournament you're making day 2.
When you're casting, I'm making day 2.
Exactly. Yeah. So far, from Bologna, I'm like, I made finals. I feel good. It's me, Alan, it's all good. And yeah, we'll see who makes finals in this.
That is a
I was going to say, that's the Void Burrow going at it again. Void Rush. We'll see if we can get the back-to-back-to-back again.
Right, so this is a pretty quick start. We have Arena's Greatest, trigger for both players. We also have Seed of Power again in the game. It's working for both of those archetypes, right? You are playing a white deck, so Seed of Power makes sense. You have potentially a free card draw, which is something that Azir wants more than Rek'sai.
The struggle is real on Azir sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the struggle is real with this hand though as well.
Oh, it is always painful to have to pay full price. No discount option available for the Noxus Hopeful.
And there was no 2-drop as well.
Exactly.
Right?
This is a real struggle.
This is rough. This is rough.
Especially on Arena's Greatest, where you're like, I really want to get out of the gates quick, and I want to, conquer as quick as possible. My opponent is actually just going to play Azir, saying, okay, I don't see any threat from you yet.
Look, it's only fair. You got 2 Under Titans in game 1. Now you're getting
nothing.
You're paying for this with the sub-bar.
Oh, and the On Guard is going to match it and just say, yeah, I'll take that trade. And we'll see whether Xtacio has a Blood Rush or something. I see a salvage in hand.
No,
I think, was there a face breaker there as well? Not 100% sure. I know that. No, it is not. I'm hallucinating cards in hands.
Most likely we're going to just see it developing here. A Ferris Forerunner, 6 energy and 1 red. What can it be?
I know, right? But it also, on its own, sure, it's going to be good, but that's
2 Arises.
Yeah, multiple Arise. BF Sword is going to, be good for this turn, and then even better on the Arise turn. Because it's going to give you that extra presence for the Arise Soldier. So BF Sword goes onto Sand Soldier. Of course, that is coming from the Legend ability that Azir is able to make once you played that equipment.
It's kind of funny because we have the Arena's Greatest, but both players had definitely not ideal hands to open the game. So the game kind of slowed down by default. But the thing is, now there's potential swings, and they can go both ways. The Salvage in Hand is an action speed spell, so it can flip one. Oh, never mind, it's already being played.
Oh,
and there's
Defy.
And here we go. Now, this does make a huge difference because 1, you know that 1 Defy is already gone.
Yep.
And 2, one of the salvages is already gone.
I was going to say, both
players get information that is very crucial. But what is even more important, Xtacio here has to think about the fact that if I put the Ferris Forerunner on one of those battlefields, it will most likely die.
Right. Yeah,
Any
exactly.
equipment is gonna basically make that Sand Soldier enough to trade, right? And now Rally the Troops was being played, which draws you a card, and then if you play any unit this turn, they get instantly buffed.
Okay.
So you want to play as many units as possible. Ideally, it would be the yellow 2-drop that creates 2 tokens.
Yeah.
That will create 7 might in the base instantly or on the battlefield, depending on what you want to do. So
seeing not wanting either the Void Rush or the unit there from it. Obviously, as you said, you want the one that is going to create multiple units. There it is.
Here we go. That's the ideal scenario for the Rally the Troops.
Yeah, so now they get buffed up. It's pretty useful at this point for rebuilding into this game, or at least building in. I guess we should say that, as Rek'sai hasn't yet established control of the game.
It's build your own Sand Soldiers.
It is, yeah. They're actually the same. They're like
same but different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The Spider-Man meme at this point, like
that was from That was from the comedy with.
Is it-
Oh my God. Who created the studio on Apple TV? Did you watch the series?
I
Never
didn't,
mind. All right,
actually.
we're going too deep again. But all right, so we get the trade, or not trade even, just defeating the Ferris Forerunner. 2 mechs are being created to the base, and it's still awkward. You still have a lot of might, but dealing with the first Forerunner without losing anything, that is probably as impactful as it can be.
There's a rise coming through.
That's a big tell, by the way. If this turn you play a rise like this, that means that you do have a second one.
You got another one.
Yeah, there's no reason to play it yet, not right now, right? So it's like you're trying to establish like a turn. You probably had something else to play from this hand, but if you play just slam it like this,
Yeah.
this is most likely a tell that you have a second one in the hand.
And is this just trying to smother out the game at this point of say, I'm just going to create 2 turns worth of giant like units? I will say though, with only 2 equipment on the board, and one of them being Brutalizer, we're in another situation where it's like holding is not the easiest with this board state for either player, because like Brutalizer, once you pass the turn, is going to drop off, or at least the active added bonus of being equipped that turn. So yeah, it's some interesting math is about to come through on Xtacio's turn, because you have to deal with both battlefields, which means the Arise ends up not doing all that much.
No, when you think about it, he paid 6 energy and 1 rune for the power to draw a card from the Seed of Power, right?
Yeah.
And create 1 unit.
Yeah.
Because the other one will die.
Yeah, because you'll end up trading around and
not even trading, it's just the mech is going to go over.
True, it'll go over the top.
Like
Yeah,
basically,
right.
the board state dictates that the Sand Soldier dies without doing anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the player plays deliberately the Arise to change it to 1 Sand Soldier and a draw card. That is 100% a tell that you have a second Arise in the hand.
Yeah, that's fair. And gonna look for. Is there a Blood Rush in there? I don't believe so. Haven't seen it this game. At this point, we are right down to the key moments of a series like this. So taking the time to check through the trash. It hasn't been all that much for now, and we do have 28 minutes left still on this round. So good to do your due diligence while there is time still to do it. At this point, not the end of the world, but that will be the trade coming through, or at least the conquer coming through for Xtacio on the arena's greatest. Will now get
thinking about triggering it, because there's a small difference if you would trigger it from the second battlefield.
Okay.
Because you would draw a card first.
Ah, okay, and then you see 2 more.
Yeah, and not even that. Depending, like, if you draw the card first and then you trigger Void Burrower, then you would affect the decision. It would affect the decision potentially what you can play from the Void Burrower, because you get
got
1
the
more
top card and then you see 1 more.
So it gets you more informations. You will have a more informed decision. But at the same time, if you does this Blood Rush like change anything over here? Most likely not. Like, it would only change the fact that I want to push with the token instead of the mech, right?
Right.
And that's essentially it.
Whereas now you get a mystery card.
And we still have 5 energy open, and it's so interesting.
That's hopeful.
Yeah, it's so interesting because essentially Rek'sai works like this. I sacrifice my units that are worth nothing, and I get more units, and I just play cards. I almost have no interaction during your opponent's turn, at least by default. In game 2 and 3 that changes. But the Azir plays a similar strategy.
Yes.
His units are also mass-produced, but they are worth more. But they're being supplemented by the cards from the equipment, or they're supplemented by instant speed, either buffs or like counter spells like Defy and maybe Wind Wall in some decks. It's such an interesting archetypes because they kind of similar,
but
in
different ways.
not.
Yeah, exactly. I was getting excited for a moment there because I thought that battering ram was quite cheap, but it actually cost 3. Every time I see one, I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna play lots of things.
Free,
man. You got it reduced by 2 cost.
I remember people locally played them, and they've played like they have no minimum cost. And
yeah, like, you know what? I actually thought that for the beginning. For about a week, I was like, oh, just play it for free. No.
That would be absolutely mental.
Yeah, there was a point as well where I thought Fizz could be played at reaction speed based on some historical knowledge of cards in the past. I was like, no, it's not that. It's not that at all. I went to do it in a game, and my friend was like, no, don't do that. And what we're gonna do now, though, is focus on this one as Azir goes in. We'll bring with the Shurima Shuffle over the Sand Soldier to Cedar Power.
Now we have Desert Call. Calls in 2 Sand Soldiers. Now, the hold is pretty big on that Seat of Power. That is 10 might. But on the base, we have already 5, 9, 11, 14, 16 might waiting in base. 2 open energy for Azir signals maximum +4 might. Because that will be double Enguard. But we already saw 1 Enguard being used, so we know it can only be 1 Enguard because there are only 2 in the deck.
The other thing it could be, right, is Hidden Blade if you're looking to take out a unit, right?
Correct.
Like
which
the
is basically
the old-fashioned way of from hand.
You just stab it, actually.
Yeah,
you know?
That blade
it's
is
not
hidden.
That, it's not that hidden.
No, exactly. But not in the game sense.
Frontal blade.
Yeah, that's with bravado that you're stabbing them at that point. But at this point...
You know what? You know what's funny? The Hidden Blade, when it's actually hidden, it's not that hidden.
It's not hidden. That's
but
the point
in the
I'm
hand,
saying.
it's actually hidden.
Because in the deck, you're like, I know what that is. But 2 mana represented is, two runes represented is way more of a hiding strategy. There's a Void Rush in hand for Xtacio. It won't be the card of choice for this turn. It's going to be the Darius. Could very well be followed up with the Void Rush.
Now he's playing it first because if he chooses to play a card from Void Bearer, then it's important to have like if could be another Void Rush, and then the Void Rush will play 2 cards, and then Darius cannot untap.
Yeah,
there are some clunky things that can happen to a
Rek'sai.
Rek'sai.
And this is the sequencing of like you are kind of like. There's a Gambit aspect to the top of the deck at this point where you're like, oh, what do I get? This will be the second spell of the turn cast, or at least the second card
you
played.
You can hear the modality of Blood Rush actually affecting this, this board state, because one assault goes to the big battering ram, the other assault goes to Darius. Now Darius becomes a 9.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we get to resolve the back end of that Conquer.
You know what's funny is that I do play a lot of Rek'sai myself, but there's no way I can predict what's going to happen this turn, or even read or anticipate what the Rek'sai player can do, because there's so many options.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean about there being an aspect of randomness to it, is you are somewhat at the mercy of the top of the deck. You are at the mercy of what is my deck doing.
But it's like a... Think about playing Rek'sai like building a branching out tree of decisions. So essentially, every step you take gives you another branch like that you can take after that decision. So
like burrowing tunnels.
Kinda. I made the comparison to a tree. I should have made that comparison to like
the roots can bury. Yeah, that's all good. So it's going to be a big old trade over a lot of the units on Cedar Power, but it will result in the buffed up recruit staying alive. So draws first.
Yeah, good sequencing here.
Hits the Void Rush as well.
But now the question is, do I actually play the Void Rush?
Yeah.
Because if I don't hit a 2 cost from the top, I cannot advance my board state.
Exactly.
So you might not want to risk it, and maybe you'll just play something from hand and stand. But
spin the wheel.
We go for the Void Rush.
It happened.
Super high odds of actually
happened in game 1, and we'll see what the reveal is. Is there going to be an Under Titan reveal?
And the blade. Yes, see? Now, maybe there was something in the hand that was actually playable instead of this, right? So maybe there was a unit that could have been played. But this, we lost the discount, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
On the Hidden Blade and the Blood Rush over here, because Void Rush does give you the discount.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this Hidden Blade, not so hidden anymore.
No.
Can be played still within this turn, even though there's no
True, because you could just hide it at the battlefield.
You can just hide it. And I think it is a solid consideration of actually holding this. Sorry, I laughed. Some slapstick comedy. What happened?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the judges...
There was the card draw from Seat of Power and then the Void Rush.
It looks like the players are confirming that everything is okay. Yeah, as you said, you can hide the Hidden Blade if you want.
Yes.
Again, not
and
very
with
hidden.
this board state, when it's 6/6, right? The Hidden Blade actually matters for tempo.
It does.
And it doesn't matter that the opponent will draw cards. Like the game will quickly end.
Gonna hide
Is that two? Two hidden blades.
Oh, that one's hidden.
They're not so hidden blades.
That one's hidden as well. Guess what it is?
Yo, I wonder what this might be.
2 hidden cards in this list, and one of them got revealed to you already this turn. But I think
it's 50-50 where it is.
It's really important. Yeah, we track the hidden blade.
Also, one Defy was being played already.
Yes, that is. You know, these things are actually significant having them there with the resources that were available because, as you said, we're at 6. So Xtacio is trying to hold here to go potentially up to 8 or at least to 7 and put the pressure on. We know that our Azir player Pedro, we believe that second Arise is still to come, so there is still some potency left.
Those are 2 ready units, maximum. You cannot do more from Arise. Imagine if every single unit would...
That would be nuts.
Oof. So anyway, but he doesn't have even access to the Azir Sovereign anymore, so you cannot like just go and finish up the game with movement from the accelerated unit.
So now is about cascading potentially. Yeah, here we go. The equips for the recycles to begin with. What does the math dictate? Of course, that Brutalizer gets equipped now. That's a big old Sand Soldier.
Yeah. And using the Hidden Blade on the first unit, this actually draw might matter because the energy is open.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. But of course, to re-equip now, we're either looking at a Rise to create Sand Soldiers that then Weapon Master their equipment onto them, and that's exactly
so much might.
What is going to happen here. So shortcutting that way through. I feel like at the end of this turn, Pedro is going to have limited runes available, but is in a make or break situation. It doesn't matter at this point.
It might not matter because he might just win.
Yeah, exactly that.
So we have the Weapon Master on 2 weapons, so we're also saving a little bit of energy. But the thing is, you have to count. Do you want to use the second Weapon Master already, or maybe you use it on the shield instead, and then you attach the Brutalizer by just paying the green, so the unit goes to 8 again? Because on the board state, on Seat of Power, it's 8. So but you kind of need 9. But if you do 9, then your unit doesn't die. So your equipment
so you can't re-equip.
So you have to go to 8 and now go to attack to the battlefield, go for 8, and essentially have the ability
clear
to
the battlefield so that you can then re-conquer afterwards. Now, this is where the Hidden Blade, though, makes a problem on the second battlefield because you have to then have another unit in order to clear it out. And a battering ram
only have 3 units ready.
And a battering ram plus a buffed-up recruit is surprisingly difficult to deal with while cascading.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize there's a token there.
Yeah, it's there. It is indeed there with a buff up. So
this token is more hidden than the Hidden Blade.
That's so true, even though it is right there. But we're going to switch things upside down and actually focus on the battering ram first. So that's threatening with, 8 might above the 7. So sequencing it this way.
That's Death Grip.
Death Grip is going to be enough to transfer a massive amount.
This is an insane amount of might. That is 8 transferred to the Sand Soldier. That Sand Soldier's already
So now
10.
that will survive on the other battlefield. Or I guess you have to cascade this first one, right? Do you have enough?
Like, this should be enough to clear
it is, right? No? And then you equip the other equipment over to the remaining Sand Soldier. Handshake
what a
comes
finish.
Through. The math was there for Pedro and advances 8-0 on day 1 at RQ Lille.
Really good sequencing by Pedro over here. Well played by both players. But really enjoyed this match. Death Grip being the final push that was needed for this game to actually finish. I think we thought the Death Grip, he didn't have enough. No.
And that was both games, right? Because you had in the first game, there was attaching it with the GA and having it bounce back, and then you still had the unit available. So really impressive Azir performance. And, you know, we were speaking earlier to Azir players talking about how sometimes it goes in an inconsistent way. 2 games consistent, even with a bad draw in game 2, and Pedro is able to get through.
It was a bad start, but had 2 Arises in the hand already.
Yeah.
Right? So there's like this kind of making it up aspect of like the card draw at the beginning was the best, but then you have the ability to keep up with the tempo. And also we have to remember Rek'sai didn't have a 2-drop, and then the turn 2 play was Noxus Hopeful. So the opening from Rek'sai wasn't the best.
Yes, we did, however, have the highlight moment of
Under Titan,
Void Rush into Under Titan.
Rams. Yeah, it was
Loved
crazy.
that. Sadly didn't end up winning the game. But again, that was a game that we were looking at where one player was going to be 8-0, the other was going to be 7-1. So still in a fantastic position for Xtacio going into day 2. Ooh, that has been a lot of Riftbound so far. As we're going to find out how the rest of our evening plays out. I will find out very shortly whether we'll have any more for you or what is coming next. But I think for us, I am really happy looking now after one day of competition at the meta, where yes, some of the faces are the same. Some of the decks are the same archetype in theory, but I think the pace of the game and how Riftbound has been playing out at a competitive level has changed significantly following the way
yeah, I would agree with that statement. Definitely less cold shots equals less looking at the top of the deck and making a, you know, an informed decision twice, and then replay with Fizz and so on.
And it feels like you're able to play smaller units to a battlefield. Set to, like, the beginning of Spirit Forge was like, you play a 2-might unit to a battlefield, it gets run over, your opponent draws 2 cards and laughs at you as they get a gold token.
Yeah, so I feel like in current state, even though that is true what you just said, I feel like it still benefits the mid-range Draven that much, because now people actually leave units on the board, right? You have actual fights more, and Riftbound is about those showdowns, is about fighting on the battlefield, it's about that kind of interaction. So inherently speaking, I think Draven is still incredibly powerful, maybe to some degree even better than in the previous spot, because you have to look at this power level being brought down because of the bans, and now does Draven lose more than the other legends gain?
And good question.
That is not possible for me to answer. It's just me just rambling about it. But it is a potential situation where the mid-range Draven deck can actually gain more from the bans than lose.
Yeah, I guess I would say one of the other things that is really noticeable in the field is Fight or Flight not being here. Is a real big change to multiple archetypes, both playing the card and playing against the card.
Just think about it this way. If an Azir would be playing in this metagame with Fight or Flight, if you would just death grip something and that unit gets Fight or Flighted, it's like, okay, well, I guess I just committed so many resources and for 2 energy you just said nope.
Yeah, I just love like looping back on our big conversations to begin the day about like, okay, how are they going to like how are the bans going to change the meta? What are we expecting as the presence in the meta? I think it's been quite refreshing so far. As I know, obviously we in day 1 we do track a wider array of decks. We've had a couple of champions and legends who we thought were performing well and then have since kind of dropped a little bit. But that is the joy of also following the best of storylines throughout the event, and I think we got some good contenders for best of Azir. Obviously, we've got you know, players that are aiming for multiple best ofs, like Alan is aiming for another best of Ezreal.
Yeah, it's a side quest,
Yeah, although has lost the game, so not undefeated on day 1. You know, that's when expectations are so high on a player, where you're like, ooh, they dropped a game on day 1.
One round,
bro.
Oh,
no, 1 round.
Tragedy.
We'll catch up, I'm sure, with Alan tomorrow on day 2. But now, let's catch up with our winner from our final round of the evening over on the stage.
Thanks for that, James. We are here. You talked about someone throwing a round earlier in the event. Well, here's someone who has not dropped a round. It is Pedro. We just saw you go 8-0 with Azir. How are you feeling right now?
I like it. I think Azir is a very good deck. Of course, I didn't expect to be 8-0, but I had good hopes for the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you know, Azir is a deck that has been on the fringe, to say the least, before the bans, but we've seen a lot more Azir and a lot more of these order decks. What were your thoughts picking Azir for this event?
Well, Azir got a big problem against Draven, because Azir is made, so you need to give combats and stuff. Yeah. But the main problem was that you couldn't get the last points because of Fight or Flight.
Right.
So now that Fight or Flight is gone, you know, you can end with Arise, you can end with the accelerated Azir. Yeah. So that's the big game changer, I think.
Well, another way to end a game is the way that you ended that first game in absolutely spectacular fashion with that death grip with the Guardian Angel. Talk to me about that. I mean, you even had to call a judge and be like, hey, does this work the way that I think it does?
Yeah. I was pretty sure it worked like that, but didn't want it to mess up the camera. So, but yeah, that's the power of Azir. It can break holes of 30 might. So that's one of the main reasons to play it, because you force the opponent to waste their tricks on attack your soldier. That doesn't matter because you will re-equip.
Yeah.
And that's the main power of it.
Yeah, so you've obviously done very well so far. You said that your matchup against Draven has been better. Are there any matchups that you're maybe not wanting to see going into tomorrow?
I'm comfortable against everything. It's true,
Love it.
Draven is not perfect. It's better by the,
Yeah.
the heart. But I feel good about the list.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you are in the best possible position you could be in this event. I mean, you said you weren't expecting to be 8-0, but how do you feel right now having actually achieved this monumental thing in this tournament right here? The biggest RQ that we've ever had, by the way.
Yeah, I want it to be tomorrow. I want to keep going.
Yeah.
I like how I have been playing. I like the deck. In fact, Rek'sai was my first option. Azir was my second.
Really?
So I knew how he could attack me. But yeah, both were close, and finally I decided with Azir.
Yeah, well, talk to me a little bit about that. You were between Azir and Rek'sai. I've actually, been talking to a lot of players who are in that same boat, and I've actually seen a lot more people go towards Rek'sai. So what made you lean towards that Azir?
It's mostly what I talked about Azir being able to break holes of a lot of mine. Like Rek'sai got a problem. It is very good attacking. It's not good at holding. And cards like Ferrose, you waste everything to attack, and then they are to make us ready to get the battlegrounds back. With Azir, you attack, and then you have a 6/6 defending, so you make it waste extra cards to retake the battlefield.
Absolutely. One other thing I want to talk about, because this was another crazy play, actually from your opponent into that game, where they had almost nothing on the battlefield. I was watching in the backstage going, oh, well, this game is over. And then they conquer, they get the Void Mother, they get a Void Rush into a Void Rush into a Under Titan into a Darius. How are you feeling going from basically nothing on the battlefield for your opponent to, I think it was 23 might on a battlefield?
Yeah. To be honest, I laughed, but it wasn't that scary in my side because I got Azir in my background. I was only caring about Falling Star or Pull the Wake. Those were the cards that destroyed my plan. I knew I could get through any might.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, ideally he didn't get that, but happens sometimes.
So absolutely, I mean that is really crazy. So obviously, when you're 8-0 in a tournament, obviously you're on the top. You're thinking, oh, what are we going to do going into tomorrow? But take a step back. What are your thoughts here on this event itself? I mean, being in this gigantic floor, obviously it being the biggest RQ, what has been your experience with this event as a whole so far?
It's very nice. I'm also with friends, so it's also
awesome.
a very good experience. I was also in Bologna, and I like a lot these events. Yes.
Yeah.
They are very good. People are friendly everywhere, and competing with the friends, seeing what your friend has done in each round. Congratulations. It's not an individual experience only, but you have a people with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, really, really fantastic performance so far. Now, answer me this. You're obviously playing Azir at a very high level. Have you thought about the medal card, the best of card? Has it come into your mind yet? Or am I cursing you right now?
Yes, of course I have thought about it.
Yeah.
Like, I made top 22 in Bologna.
Yeah.
So the goal to qualify for the European Championship was already made.
Okay.
So I wanted to compete, but also have chances with a metal card.
Yeah.
So Azir was a very good option for that. I think Rek'sai was too.
Yeah.
The friend I beat was 7-0 with Azir. So yes, of course, it's something everyone takes into account. The metagame is super varied because of that.
Yeah.
So it's a very good incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of my favorite things about competitive Riftbound in general. Of course, we get to see all of that so far. Now, I don't want you to spoil anything, obviously, for the event, so I won't ask you more about that. But have you looked at Unleashed at all? Have you thought about any of the set 3 cards? Anything exciting for you?
I am not sure because, to be honest,
not
gonna lie, I haven't checked much Unleashed because I wanted to.
Because you're testing for this event,
But for now, I like LeBlanc, I like Pike. but only because I have seen them.
Yeah.
I have no idea in truth.
Absolutely. No, not a problem at all. I did the same thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the event for to focus on for sure. Now, if you had to pick your path to a potential top 8 or to play through to tomorrow, what would you want to see? What would you want to face going into tomorrow?
You know, I didn't want to see Irelia, but I saw 3 and won them. So I believe I like the 3 meta decks, Kai'Sa, Irelia, and Draven. I think Draven is a bad matchup, but I'm comfortable because it's the one I have targeted the most.
Right.
So even if it is still bad, I feel confident about it. But I think if I had to choose one of them, I think I want to see Kai'Sa.
Absolutely. Well, makes a lot of sense. And again, congratulations,
Thanks.
Pedro, on an 8-0. An absolutely spectacular run, and good luck tomorrow. But with that, we're going to throw it back to the desk.